If you plant a seed today, others will enjoy its fruits tomorrow. This is Skull Babylon, and you're about to listen to episode 106 of Paradigm Shift Radio, How to Build a Paradigm Shift Community and Change the World. Paradigm Shift communities are existing and growing all across the globe to help create physical space for conscious conversation, meditation, and collective growth. In this episode, we cover the simple steps to creating a community, how the project began as a single school club, the fact that anyone can create one anywhere, and the inspiration to do so. Consciousness is doing what it can to help wake itself up. And when you put forth the intention to build a physical paradigm shift community, then the universe will conspire to help make it happen. So get excited about meeting others where you are, being a leader within your community, opening up to the adventures of synchronicity, and changing the world through the hope your efforts and compassion will spark. All of us have the potential to extend our branches, birth new realities, and change the world. So thank you for helping do it together. Tune in again for future episodes of Paradigm Shift Radio. Be inspired, be involved, and remember, the shift is us. Enjoy the show, and one love.
Now, more than ever, the world needs people like us. People willing to be of service, to help create a brighter future for the generations to come. We are the ancestors, the reality creators, visioning and connecting to the conscious dawn of tomorrow, tending to the soil, planting the seeds, and fostering our collective growth. We are the stewards of the earth, and for all the beings upon it, there is no external enemy, because beyond the illusions, love is, and always will be, the truest answer we share. The realities we help manifest is reflected in the choices we make in each moment. The choice is beyond ourselves, to look inwards and to live outwards. We are here to fulfill an ancient promise older than time itself. Build the tribe, gather in unity, live in love, and birth new realities. The choices are ours to experience. So I ask you, what choice will you make? Again, international friends, this is your buddy Skull Babylon, aka Brendon Wolfshield Culleton, aka Big Skull, aka Skull the Wolf, joining you for another exciting episode of Paradigm Shift Radio. So, really excited about tonight's episode. This is going to be a very, very important one in terms of the yield that will come out of this, in terms of the ripples that will be created out of this broadcast, out of us creating this message, out of us sharing this media. Because, you know, here with Paradigm Shift Radio, this is all about creating entertaining, educational, and inspiring media. And tonight's episode, we're going to be focusing around the topic of how to build a paradigm shift community and help change the world. So, of course, a huge shout out to everybody who is with us in the live chat. We have 17 users in the live chat. That's always just a small fraction of the reflection of those who are actually tuned in. So, shout out to everybody who tuned in. And again, on tonight's episode, I encourage you to see your notes and familiar with the program. I'll give you a bit of a background into it, but ultimately we're going to work through this in steps, and I'm also going to invite you guys to engage, ask me questions to anything you need clarification with, so that we can really just work through this. And we have lots of time to do this. We have a little bit under 2 hours to really work our way through this. So there's a lot that we cover, and I'm just going to sort of go through this one step at a time. And I've been preparing this. I've been meditating in the sense of like, this whole idea of the paradigm shift community, what it is. I'll just sort of give the overview. It's about encouraging open-mindedness, healthy living, and the evolution of consciousness. And the way how this is happening is through the creation of physical paradigm shift communities all across the world. So, of course, shout out to those of you who are connected with paradigm shift communities physically, and those of you who are going to be engaged physically with their communities, which, again, is what this episode is going to encourage. So for the people who are tuned into this episode, who are tuned into the show, you're probably much like myself in the sense that you tend to sort of see things that others don't, or you ask questions that others won't right away. And you have a natural curiosity to understanding more about reality and more about what this life is, what this peculiar psychedelic reality is that we are in within every single waking moment. So through that, it's this idea of finding other people where you are, who share this curiosity, who share this passion, to also want to help be able to change the world. So there's many different people who are coming into this project from many different spectrums, but ultimately it is about helping change the world. This project, this whole Paradigm Shift Central, ParadigmShiftCentral.com, this is something that is my answer to the question I asked myself as to how I can help change the world. And one of the ways that I figured that I could do that was be able to use my media skills to bring people together through the wonderful element of technology, which is what we're doing right here, and to be able to engage and create a digital space of conversation that will encourage people and give them the tools to be able to help create a physical space for conversation, which is what the physical paradigm shift communities are. And then what those communities evolve into is always a unique and often not entirely definitive thing. A lot of what this paradigm shift thing started as was a social experiment. So think about it that way, in the idea that, as we explain later on, when you go out there and when you start engaging with people and you start doing free hugs and you start creating these regular meetings where people are coming out to, you won't be able to have full control. But what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to create the playground, create the environment, create the petri dish for this experiment to unfold, for consciousness to interact and experience itself. So we're going to work through this. We're going to work through this step by step. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to message me in the live chat. You can send a private message to Paradigm Shift Radio, and we're going to work through this. Now, if you're listening to this and in the future, feel free to pause it. Check out the main website, ParadigmShiftCentral.com. At least watch the first video, which is Awakening Within the Matrix in 5 minutes. This sort of sums up the project as well, and then you can sort of see inside the Paradigm Shift communities, and you'll see links to other awesome things, full-length movies, all sorts of media, and things that not only I am creating, but other people in the Paradigm Shift community, who are people all across the world creating, because a big part of this is about encouraging you guys to share your voice, whether it be through internet videos or whether it be as a leader within your own community. So you guys already know about the shift button. You guys already know about the draw for that. You guys already know about all the good stuff in the main website. So we're going to move right into this topic of how to build a paradigm shift community. So the paradigm shift communities. What are the paradigm shift communities? And then from there, we're going to talk a little bit about how do they help change the world? And then from there, the idea of how do we create them? And I'm also going to weave in a bit of my own story, a bit of how I sort of just felt drawn to want to create this idea of this project, and how for myself it's impacted my own life, and how that's something that I want to be able to share with you guys. So again, what are paradigm shift communities? Paradigm shift communities are physical communities that host regular open-minded discussion and meditation circles. These are places where people can come out and they can practice engaging in conversation related to topics that they don't normally get a chance to talk about. So oftentimes this relates to things about like spirituality without needing to be religious, but you also got ideas related to like just expanding our perception of reality, talking about dream exploration, talking about chakras, talking about even UFOs, Sasquatch, you name it. The goal of the community is to encourage open-mindedness. So the paradigm shift communities in themselves, the name paradigm shift, what does that mean? Because it entails directly to what this project is about. Paradigm shift means to shift your way of seeing things. So whereas before we sort of saw the world as maybe just like kind of almost, because this is kind of where I was coming from, we almost saw it as more like solid, more absolute. But as your paradigm begins to shift and you begin to incorporate some very interesting ideas, which is something we'll be talking about in this episode, things related to synchronicities, things related to fractals, things related to like ideas like reincarnation, sacred geometry, and ultimately seeing the unity, seeing the interconnectedness in all things. This is the big paradigm shift. That is something that will help bring more vibrant awareness into your life. You'll see life with an expanded consciousness, an expanded awareness. So that's ultimately the big paradigm shift that I'm trying to promote with this project, that I want to be able to help people find happiness and ultimately empowerment within themselves. And through my own process, I expose myself to knowledge, and I want people to be able to feel encouraged to follow their own path, and not to say that there is one way, but that there are many ways. And that's the important thing, is that the idea that people are encouraged to connect the dots in their own way. Don't just believe anything that I tell you or that someone else tells you. Think up an idea for yourself, claim an idea for yourself, and then that way it will hold more value in your life. So that's a very important thing. So these communities are places where people can come out and they can practice having conversation. And the idea behind practicing having conversations is so that we can be a mirror for one another, so that we can exchange our ideas, so each one of us would have a piece of the puzzle and we bring it together. And I assure you, it's very much like the internet, but in real life. Like, have you ever been on one of those social chat forums? It's just like that, but with actual people, in the sense that everyone's engaging, everyone has the opportunity to put in their voice, but also more importantly, it's about encouraging people to practice listening. So there's a lot of things that these paradigm shift communities are accomplishing. And of course, the main thing is this idea that you're connecting with people who are in your local area, who you're going to be able to become friends with. This is the idea of building the tribe. This is the idea that knowing you are already connected to the people in your community before you even meet them physically in person. And this can sort of be tied in with the idea of soul groups. Those of you who have heard that idea before, it resonates with the idea of building a paradigm shift community, because you'll find people and they'll also be like, oh man, like I totally know what you're talking about. Yes, like thoughts create the world around us. Like emotions are energy that we project out. Like I want to help more people be more aware of things. And you'll find another person who's passionate about this, and then together both of you will help inspire the other, and both of you will feel empowered. The plague, and I use the word plague sort of like in a colloquial sense, but the plague that is upon society these days is the illusion of isolation. And that's something that these communities are breaking. So think about the idea of how much a community would mean to someone who is feeling very alone, and they're looking up all this information and they just don't have anyone to talk to about it, because what everyone else wants to talk to about is just kind of the mainstream, I guess you could say. So this is the idea of creating our own streams, multiple streams, and these streams are just like alternative ways of thinking, alternative ways of being, alternative ways of seeing, and not even alternative to the mainstream. And the mainstream is sort of like the majority. So, but more and more people are awakening to what else is out there, and a lot of this shifting of the paradigm goes back to ancient knowledge, which is a very, very interesting thing, and something that you would be encouraged to talk about in your group. Talk about the Egyptian pyramids, talk about what the ancients knew, and then bring that into a place where you can understand it more and ultimately be encouraged to bring it into practice. So what are these paradigm shift communities accomplishing? They're encouraging and accomplishing the individual growth of us as individuals through the collective inspiration of the community. And we know, this is something reiterated on Paradigm Shift, that when we change ourselves, we change the world. So one of the big things, and those of you who haven't checked it out, check out my YouTube at youtube.com/SkullBabylon. I reiterated it in my new video that I posted up of the People's Social Forum March, which is a big thing. And just like on a short story, like that's where we were, like last week I was in Ottawa, and it was a huge gathering of thousands of people from all across Canada who came together, who were also engaged and wanting to choose to be the change that they wish to see in the world, who were choosing to be the change that they wish to see in the world. So anyways, within this, it was this idea of just like encouraging people to find peace within themselves and then to bring that peace out into the world. Because if you want to change the world, you change yourself, and then what you project becomes the world around you. So it's quite simple, but it is a direct way as to how things affect one another. And it's this idea of the ripple effect. So we just got a question in the live chat as to how did this whole movement start, and that's actually what I was going to address next. So now that we know that paradigm shift communities are, we know that they exist. How did they start? Did they just appear out of nowhere? Well, like I said, they appeared as a result of me asking the question of how can I help change the world? But ultimately it stemmed from my direct personal question of where do I find other people who I can talk to about all this stuff that I'm researching on the internet and reading in fringe bookstores and I'm super interested in. And I know that there are people out there. So the whole Paradigm Shift project began, and this is part of the inspiration behind the story, because it's part of the story that I want to be recreated through other people's experience. The Paradigm Shift community began as a club in my college back in 2009. So I was still a university student. I was still a college student. I was 21 years old, 20-ish years old, and prior to that, I had gone through my own experiences. I had understand a lot about synchronicity through firsthand experience, and I understood this idea that if you build it, they will come, like straight up Field of Dreams style. And it's this idea that synchronicity has the ability to pull people into certain places at the right place at the right time, to things that their soul is attracted to. So if a person is in the back of their mind wanting to find other like-minded people, it's very likely that they'll find a paradigm shift community if you put it out there. If you create it, put up a poster, the synchronicity of the universe will draw them to that poster subconsciously or like hyperconsciously, and then they'll be like, whoa, this is exactly what I was looking for. And then they will come out, and then they will connect with you, and both of you will be able to feed off of each other's excitement. So again, the Paradigm Shift community began as a single club, one club in my college. It was Paradigm Shift Fanshawe. Fanshawe College was where I was at. And it started off with just me and a couple buddies, and we began putting the word out, and all the discussions, all the meetings were like I'll get to that in a second, but they were, again, open-minded discussion, but we also had the opportunity to invite guest speakers out. So in particular, one of the first really good ones that we had a guest speaker come in and talk about lucid dreaming. So if you have the opportunity to have guest speakers come in, which we'll get to a little bit later when we get to the idea of planning meetings. If you can have guest speakers, then that will sort of help bring people in based on a particular topic. But again, there's specific tactics. We'll get to those. So anyways, through this, the community grew, and it eventually expanded beyond the college. And throughout this whole process, I was in school for media theory and production. So I was creating media. I was documenting these meetings. I was documenting these videos, like creating these videos to share. And these can all be found through the main website, ParadigmShiftCentral.com. And if you scroll down, you'll see the Sight Beyond Sight episodes. The first one's about lucid dreaming. That's the presentation I'm actually talking about. So you can see there. And from the creation of the media, eventually Paradigm Shift Fanshawe grew outside of the college. And we realized that, all right, now that we have a foundation, we're going to take things to a next step. So when you're thinking about growing a plant, this is a simple metaphor. When you're growing a plant, you don't put it inside of a huge pot. You put it inside of a small pot, and then it will grow, and eventually it will grow bigger than the pot, and then you move it into a bigger pot. So growing the club as a small thing, as a simple thing in the college, was leading us to taking it outside of the college, which eventually led to us having our meetings at a downtown yoga studio. And then from there, we were able to invite more people in the community. Whereas before we were just focusing on the demographic of the students in the college, now we are able to invite people who we ran into on the streets, people who weren't at the college, people who were all ages. And then through there, the community just continued to evolve. And then a few years later, in about 2012, I started the radio show. So that was the launch of Paradigm Shift Radio. And even prior to this, I was telling people, hey, you guys should do this too. But it was with the launch of the radio show that we really began to consistently get the message out there to say, like, this is what I did. More people should do this too. And eventually there were a few Paradigm Shift communities. There were 4, there were 5, there were 6. Now, on paper, there are technically like over 50 Paradigm Shift communities, each of them with varying degrees of activity. Some of the admins have sort of like come and gone, so to speak, but there's always the opportunity there for more people to get involved, which is, again, what we want to do. We want people to be inspired to create a Paradigm Shift community where they are to engage and embark on this exciting adventure, because essentially that's what this is. This is it's opening up a new door to your life. So if you're asking the same question, how can I help change the world? I think it's the best step we can do is to build community, because that way you're not just saying like, well, what answers do I have? Your answers alone might not be enough. But if you can start pooling together other people's answers, other people's knowledge, other people's questions, then together you will be able to make change within your local community, and the idea that local becomes global. So even just as an example, where the Paradigm Shift community that I'm involved with, which is now Paradigm Shift London, and the college still does exist, starting in September, which is, just within this next week, we're going to be getting back into the gear of engaging and promoting things within the college. So we'll literally, within my town, within my city, there's 2 separate Paradigm Shift communities, but there's still one and the same. There's one for the college, and there's one for Paradigm Shift London, Ontario, Canada, which is the one that we have meetings for every Friday night. So having these regular meetings is a very important part of this process, because it creates the open door and it creates the consistency for people to make it out to these meetings when the time is right for them. So I'm just going to give you a couple of examples of just how the Paradigm Shift community has evolved where we are, and just kind of showing you guys what can happen down the road. And then I'm going to get into the idea of some steps as to how to create this community where you are. So with my community, with the Paradigm Shift community in London, what's actually happened is now I am connected to over 100, like 200, I don't even know how many people, over so many people in my local community who are all doing very awesome things. And, even if some of them are just like, not all of them are engaged on the same level as the rest of them, but there's a lot of people who I know who are engaged with environmentalism, who are artists, who are people who are organizing other events outside of Paradigm Shift, and who are doing very, very, very cool and very equally inspiring things. And then where we're actually moving towards, the next step with our Paradigm Shift London community, is that I'm using that community as a launching point for us to actually be able to organize an annual community festival. So now that our community has become, it's about 5 years that we've had this community growing, and there's such a foundation that I know enough people in my community that we're actually arranging a festival called Look Festival, which stands for Locally Organized Organic Knowledge. We've done this festival a few years, and it's a grassroots festival, and I'm helping organize it this year along with a co-creation of everyone else in the community, and I'm helping facilitate it. And through this is going to be an amazing opportunity for us to be able to help inspire future generations and also connect people in our community with other awesome people, such as people in the Paradigm Shift London community and people who are engaged in their local gardening, in their conscious living, in their artistic expression. And a big part about this festival, which is ultimately the big part of this whole Paradigm Shift project, is that we're going to focus it around engaging with the youth, engaging with the kids, making it a lot to do with the kids, getting them engaged and getting them connected as well. So a big part of this is the idea that what we're creating with these Paradigm Shift communities can be as long-term as you want to see it, in the sense that we are standing for tomorrow today is kind of the way that I like to see it. And what we're doing is we're creating habits and we're creating connections that will last beyond you. Like, ultimately, that's my goal. Like, my goal, straight up, in a realistic sense, is that someday I won't be here, but Paradigm Shift still will. Paradigm Shift London and Paradigm Shift where you are, they can exist beyond you, and eventually they become this organic thing. It's a community. It actually becomes like an entity within itself, and then that becomes something that will be passed on to the generations to follow. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create the best version of ourselves through personal work, and then bring that work into the external world, and to do it through the supportive community. So having the supportive community is such an important thing. So now you know a little bit about what the Paradigm Shift communities are. And again, the Paradigm Shift communities can be quite flexible. The main thing that we focus on is the open-minded discussion and meditation circles. But you are encouraged to get flexible with that, in the sense that they can become what you make them into. And then with the idea that, like, through there, they're bringing people together, you're making new friends, they're making new friends with your new friends, and you're building that tribe, and it's changing your life. And then you get to meet people who will want to go out and do free hugs with you. And then you'll be able to connect with even more people and bring them in. And it's this idea that ripples create waves. So again, extend your branches out. So I want to get into this sort of table of contents. Well, it's a list that I've been writing, and it's not even fully complete. But if you guys have any questions, again, just post questions in the live chat, because I know this episode is going to be a lot to do with me talking. But I am inviting some of the admins from our fellow admins from Paradigm Shift Communities to call into the show later on within the last half hour. So remind me again once we get to that point. I'm thinking Kristen might call in. She's one of our new Paradigm Shift community admins. She just created her community. Like, she just really sort of started getting things rolling even more so within the last week. So I think she'll be a great person to say, hey, I'm doing this, you can do it too. And then when you hear that again, you'll be like, of course, this is awesome. So there's always, with Paradigm Shift, the numbers, like, this show isn't super duper viral, so to speak. It's still sort of underground, even within the conscious community, which is something that I actually think is really cool, because I think it means that the people who are here, the people who are engaged with the community, find value in it. And there's something that I think is unique to the Paradigm Shift community as a global community, which is you listening, which is you, the people in the live chat, which is the people who are commenting on my posts and submitting videos of their own. These people are people who are just really, they're dedicated isn't the right word, but they are invested with this community. And I think the awesome thing about the Paradigm Shift community is that we have an absence of trolls. Is that all the people in here are very genuine. You don't have to deal with any of that, and they're all people working together towards a common good. So what I want to be able to cover is some of the steps. So what I want to do before that, though, is just reiterating the idea that a big part of knowing how this is going to work is an understanding that I'll try and break down quite simply, and it's something that I sum up in my Awakening Within the Matrix in 5 minutes, but it's this idea of understanding that we exist beyond the present moment in a non-linear sense. So imagine a tree and turn it sideways. There's branches going to the left, branches going to the right. The left is the past. The right is the future, and right at the point where the trunk is, the nexus point, that's the now. So the branches into the future are projections of our intentions from the present moment, but they're also potential manifestations that already exist in the quantum reality of the future. And those potential realities are realities such as you meeting certain people at the right place at the right time. They are you actually creating the paradigm shift community, and the fact that that will actually change a person's life down the road in some way or another. So understanding that we have so much more potential to create this in this reality than we realize. And again, using the power of love. Love is the ability to sort of transmute the vibration of fear. A lot of people, a lot of people listen to the show. You guys are actually probably like, you've heard this like 1,000 times, but not everyone else has heard it, who are the people that we're actually trying to get engaged with this community and get them educated. Everybody has that spark within, and this big process of this big paradigm shift is this idea of remembering that we're more than our physical body, that we're actual spiritual beings in this human form. And through the marriage of the spirit and the flesh, we can create some very awesome things within this physical reality, which I think is quite amazing. So, in terms of how to create this, know that your paradigm shift community, should you choose to invest yourself towards that reality, already exists. And all you have to do is align yourself with it to put forth your best effort and to just continue to move forward. If you want to let it go, let it go. Then with that, the reality will just sort of like transform into something else. But if you are there and you're wanting to create it, the universe will actually help you. The universe will meet you halfway. This is the idea of synchronicity. Synchronicity will help you connect with the right people in your area when the time is right. So if you want to create a paradigm shift community, it will happen. All you have to do is put that intention out to the universe, and the universe will respond. The universe, this is like stuff that the universe gets really excited about. The universe wants to wake up in the same way that you're waking up. It wants to wake up within other people. So it's going to help doing things that are going to be very exciting, very symbolic throughout your day-to-day life that you'll be able to read, you'll be able to become more aware of. So in addition to becoming more aware within yourself, that's a big part of what it takes to build a community. These are the steps that are going to help get things started. So step one. This is step one. So if you want to write down things, let me just get a drink of water, and I'm just going to roll through this. So, of course, a huge shout-out. We got about 30 users in the live chat. So thank you to everyone who's been sharing this. And, of course, please continue to share notes. So this is key. So we got about an hour left in the show. I'm going to go through this. And, again, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me as we go through this. So how to build a paradigm shift community. Step one. Be inspired. I can't emphasize that enough. That is how important, that is the most important thing. Find inspiration. So, state the obvious, your inspiration could be this radio show. It could be hearing my story. It could be hearing Kristen's story later on in the show. It could be the idea that you've seen a bunch of videos on the internet and you're just like, wow, this knowledge is really cool. I want to be able to help get it out there. I want to be able to help share this with other people. That can be your motivation. That can be your inspiration. Your inspiration can be all the great philosophers from throughout history who they themselves have asked questions and seek higher understanding of reality, and knowing that you yourself are a continuation of that. And by doing this, you're working towards an altruistic good where you're caring about others more so than yourself. That is why you're doing this. And through the process, the universe will reward you with awesome things. So find inspiration. Find inspiration in knowing that it is capable, knowing that you can hack the matrix, knowing that it is exciting, knowing that this will change your life, and more importantly, it will change the lives of others in ways that you have yet to even fully understand and fathom. But just know that that will happen. So now that you're inspired, that's awesome. Let's take this into action. So step 2 is taking action and getting started. Now I'm going to kind of go through this stuff, but this isn't the fixed order. So we're going to kind of go through some stuff, and then we're going to go back to some stuff. Step 1 for creating a paradigm shift community that I think is essential is begin looking for a location to have your regular open-minded discussion and meditation circles. Again, these meetings are the central focus of these communities. They are the place where people will be able to physically come out and engage in conversation and get to know one another and build personal relationships, and you'll create new friends through these meetings. The best and the recommended places to have these meetings in a yoga studio, so we have ours in a downtown yoga studio, or in places like libraries, or ideally in places like universities, like in colleges, in renting out rooms as a club, getting it sanctioned in as an official club and having access to rooms you can rent out. And then, of course, outside those, you can have community centers. And then in addition to that, there's also the option of having your meetings outside. You can have your meetings in parks. So there's a meeting place for your paradigm shift community. You just have to sort of contemplate which one will work best for you. And of course, you can change it around. But I encourage you to go talk to your yoga studios. That is a huge part. You won't know until you ask, and just tell them, because the way how we have ours set up, it's awesome. Like we don't have to pay for the place where we rent where we have our meetings every week, because the owner likes the idea of supporting what we're doing. She knows that it's helping people in the community, so she's actually more than happy to be able to support us in being there every week. So if you communicate to an owner of a yoga studio, there's a good chance that they'll be on the same page as you. And what you can tell them is like, hey, I'm interested in creating, in having regular open-mind discussion and meditation circles each week, and I'm wondering if I can have these in your location. And you can suggest, you can offer, you can do we can bring together donations from the community and still help towards the space as a thank you and everything, and just gauge their response on it and see what they say, and you may be pleasantly surprised. So once you have a space, that is a very important thing, because then from there you're going to want to be able to plan and arrange meetings. So a little bit later, what we're going to eventually be doing is we're going to be talking about creating a Facebook page or a group. That's actually within the first steps of taking action, because that's going to have the Facebook pages and the groups are a very valuable tool. They are the ability to be able to send a person a link, to be able to use that link as a seed, as an encapsulation of the knowledge of what the community is about, to be able to introduce them to it, and to be able to invite them. So keep in mind that we're going to talk about that. That's one of the things you'll want to do, is create a page or a Facebook group for your paradigm shift community. So I think with inspiration, I just forgot to mention this. With the inspiration, a big thing about this is knowing that what you are involved with is part of the collective momentum. Knowing that there are already a huge amount of paradigm shift communities all across the world, and what you are going to be doing is continuing to do what has already happened. It's going to be able to come through. So I'm just getting, Elizabeth is saying that it's a little bit choppy in the live chat. I may just be her. If I can get an 1111 from somebody, you guys let me know. Let me know 1111 if it's good, is my point. I think it's good. I think it's fine. So I'm just going to continue to move on. So what we're going to talk about next, the idea that now we have found, there's the 1111, thanks guys. So we have the idea for where to have a physical location for the meetings. That is key. So the next thing you want to do is planning the meetings. So planning the meetings goes hand in hand with having a Facebook page or group. That is where you'll be able to promote the information about the meetings. You'll be able to create event pages, and you'll be able to invite your friends through Facebook to the events through the digital online interface of the internet. But you'll also be able to invite people physically using pamphlets. And I'm going to explain, coming up in the next couple steps, it's this new thing that we have available. It's the admin toolkit, which is going to help you guys get started, that I put together specifically to go hand in hand with this project, with this episode. So, planning the meeting. The important thing planning the meeting is to make them consistent. Ideally, what we want to get to is the idea of having meetings every week. Ideally, I recommend every Friday. Friday works best in our community because we have our meetings around 6:30 in the evening at the downtown yoga studio. Super awesome time. And then after that, as a community, we go out and we grab a bite to eat together. We go by to a nearby shawarma shop and we find some food. And then through that, just continue to build the community. So having food connected with some meetings may actually be it may be a good technique. And in terms of planning with the meetings, I mentioned before, within the colleges, You can do things like inviting in guest speakers. This is a technique that we used within our college, and I encourage you to do this because when you create a club within the college, you may find that you'll actually get access to community funds. They part of their funding, like they have the money for it. They'll give money to clubs. What we use our money for in our club was to be able to get free punch and pie for our meetings when we had them in the college. So our posters were like free punch and pie and learn about lucid dreaming and astral projection and everything like that. So some people will show up just for the free punch and pie, and of course it's also like it's a reference to a joke from South Park, the movie, which is like something dear to my heart. And through that, the idea that may not be super sure, but if there's free punch and pie, it will bring them out. So sometimes if you have food associated with a meeting, that can work for you. So maybe down the road, what you want to do is you actually want to turn a paradigm shift community meeting for your location into something like a potluck. This is where you can sort of bring ideas into what you create your community to be. What I'm talking about here, these are suggestions, these are tried and tested techniques. Feel it out. Feel work good for you, but I encourage you to keep it simple. So planning your meetings is very important in the sense that you want to be able to make them consistent, like I said. So if you can get it once a week, that's awesome. If it starts off maybe just once every 2 weeks, that's cool. If it's once a month, that's cool. Maybe it's like the last Wednesday of every month or something like that. If people know when it is, that's the important thing, because they might see it through Facebook and they'll be like, oh, I really wanted to check that out and I missed it. But now that there's another one coming up, I'm just going to go to that if I'm available to go. And that will be a big thing, is to keep the door open. So when you have the meetings, again, you want to be able to follow through with them. And we're going to get into later on the idea of how to facilitate the meetings themselves. And I'm going to talk about some techniques and some tactics for that. But with the meetings, sorry, I'm just trying to think of like 10 things at once here. With the meetings, having the meetings as consistent, I've said that's super important. Okay, well, I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to. Okay, I'm just gonna continue to move on because I had something to say, but I sort of forgot. So, but thanks for bearing with me, guys. You guys are awesome. So the next thing that I'm going to talk about is the tools that you guys can use to help to promote your paradigm shift community. So if you go to the main website at paradigmshiftcentral.com and go to paradigmshiftcentral.com/tools, you will find a new link there for the Paradigm Shift Admin Toolkit. So I'm just trying to find a link. Hold on. Where's my Microsoft Word? There it is. Hold on. Oh my goodness, how did I lose it? Okay. Oh my goodness. Sorry guys. Where are my links? There we go. Okay. Now my computer's okay. Hold on. I'm just trying not to break my computer by clicking too many things at once. There's my link. Okay, so for everybody in the live chat, for the 29 users in the live chat, the link that I just posted there is the link where you can download the toolkit. The toolkit can also be found at paradigmshiftcentral.com/start-a-community or paradigmshiftcentral.com/tools. I put it in two places, and it's on the front page, where you just got to scroll down a bit. I put it in two places just so you can find it. But message me on Facebook if you need to find it again or whatever. Inside this toolkit, what I have done is I have supplied some of the essentials to be able to help you guys get started. So, trying to not get too far ahead of myself, but inside there, what you'll find some various posters and also some pamphlets, and also some free hug signs, also some business card templates, some sticker templates, and some generic posters, and some two-person shift signs. So the two-person shift signs, again, those are a little bit more advanced, because that's when we're talking about ways to take action and engage with our community and to be able to spread the word. And that's where the free hugs things gets out, and that's where it gets super, super exciting when you're doing free hugs, to directly be able to invite people to get engaged with your paradigm shift community upcoming meetings. So it's all super, this whole thing that I'm explaining, it might take me a while to explain, but overall it's very simple. And I think once you guys sort of get on the same page as what I'm sort of, what's already happening, then you'll realize that think of this as like a hobby. And think of this as something that ultimately it will require patience. This is something that will require patience, but think of creating a paradigm shift community in the same way that you would spend a couple weeks like building a model car or something. This is like doing the same thing. This is like turning your life into a video game, in a sense that it's like a real-time strategy. And you're becoming a leader within your community, and you're organizing things, and you're yielding the experience of meeting new people. And that is, again, it's super inspiring. So one of the key things within the toolbox, and this is what I want to talk about in relation to organizing your meetings and promoting your meetings, is the PSD file, the Photoshop file for your local pamphlet template. So inside there, what you'll need to do, you'll need to find someone with Photoshop, or if need be, you can ask me and I can do one for you. And through the Photoshop file, you'll be able to enter in your location. This is just a template for a simple black and white pamphlet that I've created, and you'll be able to enter in your location, and then from there, you'll have to manually scale it down to 4 of those images on an 8.5 by 11, much as to how the black and white pamphlets are already laid out, or you can use it as a full 8.5 by 11 poster size to promote your event. So again, I'm just trying to make it easy for you guys by giving you guys the Photoshop files to be able to help get engaged. And I know what I forgot to put. Oh, dang. Okay. I forgot to put something in the admin toolkit, but that's why it's just version 1. I'm going to update it eventually as we continue to go. But one of the main things that I forgot to put in it was the primary logo for the sigil by itself, and the logo for like the generic Facebook profile page that you can use when creating a page. So just trying to keep things streamlined here. Are there any questions? I'll ask that now for anybody in the live chat. And thank you guys so much for listening. Like, again, this is important stuff. Like, this is like my life's work, so to speak, but like work/play/awesome things that I want you guys to be a part of. So if you guys have any questions, just let me know as we're going through this. So again, what we've got so far: be inspired, find inspiration, know that you're a part of something that is already happening, know that creating a paradigm shift community has succeeded in other locations, therefore it can succeed where you are. You will meet other people in your community who are also interested and want to connect with you and want to help you connect with more people. So then from there, talking about taking action, creating a Facebook page, looking for a location, planning a meeting, promoting a meeting, using the admin toolkit and the tools in there and the graphics in there to promote not only your local community, but also the general paradigm shift project. Within the admin toolkit, you'll find that there are other files, other JPEG files for generic posters. Some of them have tabs on them that you can rip off that are for the project as itself. So until you have your immediate posters up for your local community, feel free to share those. That's why they're in there. There's some generic ones. So there's even like the generic pamphlets that you can use if you're free hugging and you don't have an actual community that you're planning on starting off, but you can still hand them a pamphlet that will direct them to the main website. So I'm just reading what we got in the live chat. Yeah, so one thing that's really key about these paradigm shift communities is that I know a lot of other people are sort of doing similar things. Calling your community a paradigm shift community is not required, though it's highly recommended just to be able to sync up with this. But this can be sort of applied to anything in a variety of different labels. But the name paradigm shift for a community, I feel it works because it doesn't segregate. It's not super specific. So an alternative would be calling your community group like the Super Spirituality Best Friends Club or something like that, right? Some people will see that and they'll be like, that's just a bunch of hippies shooting rainbows out their butts. Like, screw that, right? Whereas if somebody's like open-minded discussion, like, this is interesting. Like, maybe this will give me a chance to talk about things that I want to talk about. Again, these topics can range. You will find that there will be people who will be attracted to it who may have some interesting ideas, perhaps some that may even seem radical to you. But if the person's passionate about changing the world, then ultimately we want to be able to give them a place where they can be able to help share their ideas, and you will get a chance to be able to help listen to them. So don't think that creating these communities is just about finding other spiritual like-minded people. You will also be able to promote people who may be like more of the activist side. But then again, like, what does an activist even mean? An activist is a person who sees something in the world worth standing up for. That's kind of my understanding of an activist. So, and essentially, like, this creating a paradigm shift community is a form of activism, but you will also attract people who are themselves more of the traditional form of activist. Someone who may show up, for things like the March Against Monsanto and the Million Mass March and things like these, people who want to stand up for the injustice in the world. So keep in mind that these groups are designed to attract everyone. It's bringing people together who are ready for that moment. So you don't have to use the name Paradigm Shift. If you want to have another name, that's fine, but I encourage you to use it because I feel it works. It's a name that it's proven that it works. So you are encouraged to use it, and then you call your community Paradigm Shift your location. So like Paradigm Shift, Paradigm Shift Austin, Texas is that Paradigm Shift community. You can get like other ones like Paradigm Shift like Chatham, Paradigm Shift Dresden, Paradigm Shift Boston, Paradigm Shift Chicago. Like these are actual Paradigm Shift communities that we have. So shout out to all those, and shout out to all the other like beautiful people and the admins involved with that, and especially Bonnie, and especially AJ, who it's his birthday today. So happy birthday to AJ, one of our fellow community members. I think that's a big part about this community. We know each other so well that we know when our birthdays are. So shout out to AJ and happy birthday from everybody to him as well. So the Paradigm Shift communities are very potent in the sense that they have a lot of potential to bring people together. That is the goal. And then what happens when you bring people together? That is where the experiment begins to blossom. Maybe down the line you'll know enough people that you'll be able to create an eco and arts conscious festival where you are, much like how we are doing with the Paradigm Shift London community. And every week it's awesome. Like Fridays are an amazing part of my week. Every week, like I don't have to plan to hang out with my friends because the meetings are every week. We all know where we're going to be. And it's not always the same people every week, and there's new faces every week. And again, it's a really empowering, and just every week we're just like, wow, like that's cool. Like I learned something new this week. I got to hear a different perspective. I got to expand my perception. And ultimately these meetings are like upgrade nodes. They're upgrade experiences. People will come out of them and they'll feel love. That will be part of the goal, is that you want people to come out of them like with a higher vibration, like a higher sense of hope, and to get them excited about letting other people know about the community. 1 second, just getting a drink. Okay, again, any questions so far, please just let me know, guys. So we're going to keep moving through this. We're making good time. So, okay, so one of the things that I want to move into is we can talk about social media presence. We can also talk about the co-op system. We can talk about hosting and facilitating meetings. And then we can talk about outreach such as shiftivism and so forth. So, there's not a heck of a lot in terms of the social media. That is a big part of it. So we'll go into that. So okay, or we'll go into that in a second. What I want to hit upon first is the idea of the shiftivism and the outreach, and being able to connect with people through creative and expressive means, such as using the buttons, such as the shift shirts and the free hug tactics. So again, the way how reality works, based on my best guess, is that when you are representing what this paradigm shift community is about, which is an opportunity for consciousness to grow, for consciousness to find a space for it to foster its evolution, and you stand there on downtown, on a street corner, or wherever you are, with free hugs and some of the pamphlets for an invitation to a local community event, then what that creates, it creates an opportunity for you to not have to chase people, but for the people who are open to be able to find you. So the objective behind creating awareness about your community through the shiftivism. So again, shiftivism is the idea of planting love to help assist in the awakening of consciousness. Shiftivism is the generic term that we use. Again, that's our form of activism. Shiftivism is how we get the word out there to get more people engaged with our community. So you're not just expecting to do your networking online. This is the next level. This is the taking action and engaging with people physically where you are, and spreading love in awesome ways. So the way how this works, step one is that you ideally, to make the most, okay, I'll explain this. To make the most out of a free hugs opportunity, what you want to do is you already want to have a meeting planned. You want to have a paradigm shift meeting already scheduled. And then from there, you want to be able to help create a pamphlet. So again, the pamphlets are in the admin toolkits. Again, you can find the admin toolkit at paradigmshiftcentral.com/start-a-community. And you can read more stuff there. There's also more information from the past years that won't necessarily, that I'm sort of recapping here just in a different way. So you'll have a pamphlet for your upcoming event on you, in your pocket. You'll have a free hug sign. You'll be holding it there. You'll put a smile on your face. You'll genuinely be there to spread the love and to engage with people. And then you'll see what happens. So what will happen, an example of what will happen, a person will come up and they'll hug you and they'll be like, oh, this is great. Thanks so much. This is wonderful. Thank you so much for doing this. And then what you can do is you can be like, oh yeah, no, thank you too. And by the way, this is something, okay, like to try and pick my words properly, because this is something that I want you guys to be able to repeat. You can say like, oh, by the way, this is also an invitation to an open-minded discussion and meditation circle that we have this Saturday in the park that anyone can come out to, and you hand them the pamphlet at that time. So they'll be standing there and they'll be looking at the pamphlet and they'll see the words like paradigm shift and stuff like that. And then you can start to engage in more casual conversation. You can be like, yeah, it's really cool. Right now we're in the process of building a community, and we're bringing like-minded people together who want to talk about things that we don't normally get a chance to talk about, things like lucid dreaming. And then you can actually use that opportunity to practice engaging in a conversation with that person. So you can read them, or maybe they'll say something, or you can sort of ask them. You can be like, yeah, like, are you interested in like lucid dreaming or meditation or anything? And then they might be like, oh, you know what? Like, actually, I am. This is cool. This is right up my alley. So the free hugs will open up a conversation, and through the conversation, within that moment, you're getting to meet this person in your community who is a likely participant of your paradigm shift community, who has the potential to be a part of your paradigm shift community. So if you're just doing free hugs and just doing that, so you'll hug a person and you can still have a conversation with them, and then they'll just go on their way without a pamphlet, that's still good, but it's not utilizing the utmost potential of the opportunity. Because ideally, instead of like waiting for the will of the universe for your next chance to run into that person again, you want to take more control with that. You want to be able to say like, hey, if you want to run into me again, here, this is where it can happen. Take this piece of paper, hold on to it, check out the website on it, link up to the Facebook page, and then get connected with me next time we have this meeting, and you'll get to meet more people and invite some friends, bring people out, because that person likely will already know a couple other people, and then next thing you know, you'll already have a decent amount of people aware of your community. So doing free hugs is, without a doubt, a super potent way to build your community. So ideally, with a paradigm shift community, you can get things happening within 2 weeks. 2 weeks, 1 week even, but 2 weeks would be realistic, 3 weeks even if that. Within week 1, you plan like your meeting, or like even if your meeting's at the end of the week, and then in the middle of the week, you go out there and you do your free hugs, if that's something that you choose to engage to do, because maybe you're just like, oh, well, I got enough response already on Facebook, I'll save the free hugs for another time. But if you do the free hugs, then within a half hour of doing free hugs, you might meet like 10, you might meet 15 people. And again, with the free hugs, the way how it works is that you don't have to go around chasing people. You don't have to go around being like, excuse me, sir, like, do you want to know more about reality? Like, here, check this. You don't want to preach, right? You don't want to be chasing people. The reality, like the universe will work through like the ease of like the free hugs and the love-based tactics of it. So the people who are, again, supposed to find out about this community, who are already connected to it in the future sense, will find you. So good places to do free hugs would even be places like farmers market. And shout out to a few of our friends who have been doing that, who have been doing free hugs like at farmers market. That's a great place to do it, because there you got a lot of people who are interested in local gardening and organic living and conscious health and everything like that. So think about where you're doing free hugs. Yes, you can do it downtown, but if you can do it in a place where you think you might be reaching more out to your target demographic, then that would be a place to do it, along with any other place. And of course, doing it within a school is super awesome, because then you're reaching sort of the target demographic of like the younger, that 20-ish year old range, that range bracket. So if you're focusing on a college, it's super exciting, because you're going to get people who are going to be close to your age, presuming you're that age, like going into college or in college. People who are in like their 20-ishes in college, and even if you're in 30 in college and 40 and stuff, like still do it. So the colleges, doing it in the colleges, like that's such a key thing, and that's where I wanted to do this show now, so that the people who are listening to this Paradigm Shift Radio, which as numbers go, there's probably going to be about like 150 listening to this live, and then there will probably be about like 600 people who will hear this show afterwards. So that's about, like 700, 800 people, and like I said, like each one of you has the potential to create a paradigm shift community where you are. So it's a very interesting thing, thinking about that potential. And especially, like I said, those of you who are going into school in September, who are coming up and going into school, this is why I created this show now, because I wanted you to get this knowledge into. I wanted you to have time to embody it and to start taking this intention with you through your first week of school. Start looking for a place to have your meetings. Start talking to people and be like, hey, I'm thinking about starting a club. Maybe you'd be interested in helping out. Those are the things you're going to want to start doing. And then again, the college is like a super exciting place to start up a paradigm shift community. I feel it's easier to start a paradigm shift community if you're in a college and you're starting it like as a club in there, but it's still super possible just doing it outside of clubs and in your cities and your locations as a whole. So again, the shiftivism tactics are an amazing way for you to, within a short period of time, expand the network of the people who you are connected to. And again, you want to be able to have a pamphlet. You want to be able to have an invitation where you can tell people, meet me here. So instead of just saying like, see you next time, whenever, be like, we are connected now. You hugged me. We know each other. We shared a conversation. We are close enough to consider ourselves like community friends. And then from there, you can get to know them even more. So the other tactics with the shiftivism that I'll just mention, like just kind of skimming it here, are the shift buttons. So the shift buttons are the tools that we mentioned earlier in the episode. We mention them every episode. There's something that you can use. They are 2¼ inch buttons that have the website for this project on it. And they also have cool conscious imagery on them that will help evoke conscious conversation. So wearing a shift button in itself is an excellent tool, because even if you're not doing free hugs, it creates a possibility for someone who you're on the bus with or a friend of yours to be like, hey, that button's really interesting. Like, what does that mean? Like, and you can be like, oh, that's the flower of life. Have you ever heard about it? It's actually the pattern that unfolds all throughout the entire matrix of reality. And you can start telling them, you can start engaging in conversation with them about that. So the buttons are something that a person will see, their consciousness will be drawn towards, and then you have the potential to share it with them. So the buttons only have the website for the global project, ParadigmShiftCentral.com and Facebook.com/ParadigmShiftRadio. Those two websites are on the rims of the buttons. Now, you wouldn't, if you're just giving those out to people in your community, like if you're doing free hugs, and you have the option, if you have buttons, you can give out some buttons to people who you're doing free hugs with. Though I'd be very mindful, if you only have a batch of shift buttons that's maybe like 15 or 10 or however many, be very mindful of how you use them, because another valuable thing about them is that you almost would want to save them to give to people who come out to your meetings. And then you sort of give it to them to sort of like say like, yeah, you know, like now we're like we're part of the club, we're part of the community, and it creates like this like element of fun, and it sort of brings us back to some nostalgic ideas. And then again, like the buttons in themselves, you wouldn't want to just give a random person. If you're building a community, you wouldn't just give them the button. You'd give them the pamphlet for your upcoming meeting and a button. And then you can tell them, you know, like use that button to help spark conversation with other people. And then those seeds are planted. But the button is a way to help reinforce someone's interest in what this project is about. A button is something that they'll physically be able to hold on to, and they'll be able to look at the image. And again, there's lots of images on it. There's stuff from like Alex Gray images and all sorts of amazing work on it. And that is something that they'll be able to even potentially share further and spark conversation further. And those buttons start to get passed around. But ultimately, they link people back to the website, which in themselves is a very useful thing. Even if they just watch the first video, The Awakening Within the Matrix, in 5 minutes. If they watch that one video, that's super awesome, because that's why I designed the website the way it is, so that you see that video up at the top. And through that video, that might be enough to really get them thinking and to be like, oh my God, you know, like as above, so below, we are the reflection of everything. And the 10 related realities of the Matrix are us. And it's empowering. It's super awesome. And we create this reality, and we're all wizards, and magic is real. Like these are some of the ideas that become a part of your reality. And so the shift buttons are a cool thing that we want to be able to provide you guys with. They are tools. They are tools to help accelerate your community growth. They are very, very useful. They are not required. Like that is the thing. They are not required. Like if you don't have shift buttons, you can still print off the free hug signs, ideally on cardstock. Print out your hug signs on cardstock, or just make your own hug signs and the pamphlets. And so if you have those two things, that's enough. The shift buttons are additional, but they will help bring more strength to the community, and they will ripple things out in very exciting and interesting ways. And they're also like, it's cool because it's like, you know, it's swag, it's conscious swag, and you get to externalize the internal. So it's a way for you to express yourself, which is a very cool thing. So that's why I wear buttons. You know, I'll commonly wear the Eye of Ra button, like on my jacket or on my backpack, along with a couple other buttons. And then when people see that, they'll be like, oh, you know, hey, what's that symbol mean? And for me, my simple reaction with the Eye of Ra, the Eye of Horus, is that I say, like, oh, you know, it's an ancient Egyptian symbol. My way of seeing it is that it refers to like awareness, the open eye, being able to see things. But of course, people can sort of take that further. You can say, like, you know, it refers to the third eye, and the third eye is like the spiritual connection to the higher inspire mind. And there's lots more ways that you can take that. So again, each one of those buttons is a conversation starter. So those of you who obviously are familiar, you know that you can order the buttons. And those of you who don't know, you can order the buttons at paradigmshiftcentral.com/buttons. So that is where you can order the buttons. And I want to be able to put in, if you're an admin, I hadn't organized this yet just because I hadn't done the editing on the website, but I want to be able to we've done this before. If you're an admin, I'll include bonus buttons into your order. So if you're an admin, order buttons, and I'll give you more buttons if you let me know that you're an admin, because I want to be able to help support you. So if you're ordering buttons, being an admin is a good enticement because it will give you bonus buttons. So that's one of the ways that we can help support each other even further through this process. And again, the buttons help support the community. They help support the costs of the production and the website and the radio show. So not only are you getting awesome buttons, but you're also helping support the community, which is, again, so it's super awesome. And and you can enter in the draw for the free shift buttons later in on the show. Send a message to facebook.com/paradigmshiftradio, and we'll get to that. And also looking for a donation. So again, reminding, if somebody can donate by the end of the show, that will be super awesome. That will help us keep things on the level. So go to paradigmshiftcentral.com/donate, or just send me a message and let me know that you want to donate later and sync up as a monthly donator for a couple dollars a month. So that's just that again. So in addition to that, the other cool thing that we also have the T-shirts. So I'll mention this real quick because there's actually some new T-shirts that are available, and these are the free hug shirts. So the free hug shirts, I'm just typing this in the chat now. The free hug shirts, they are going to be, again, another thing that you can use to help use the power of symbolism for people to see and for people to be like, hey, free hugs, I want to hug that. And then they'll hug you, and then the shirts, then these new ones, again, if you want these, you can order them at www.teespring.com/freelovehugs, or go to paradigmshiftcentral.com/shirts, and you'll see it there. These are, again, just more tools to help make things exciting for you guys. Think of this as an adventure. Think of this as a quest. Again, think of this as like a video game. If you have your buttons, if you have your shirts, if you have your hug signs, if you have your pamphlets, you can keep those on you at all times. Honestly, that's what I do. Whenever I go out, I always have free hug signs. I always have buttons and usually a shirt on me so that I can do shiftivism at any point. And this is superhero stuff, you're changing realities. Because again, you don't know. The idea is that you're going to meet a person, and it's going to mean a heck of a lot to them to know that this paradigm shift community that you're creating exists, and it's going to give them a lot of hope. And suddenly they're not going to feel alone, and it's going to change their life. It's going to be very, very cool. So Angela was just asking where to donate. I'm just going to post a link for that in the live chat. So paradigmshiftcentral.com/donate to donate. And of course, thank you so much. And thank you so much to everyone who is donating already. It does help support. There's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of it is even just me working on additional conscious media, such as the Journey to Lucidity project. That's a lot that I put my time towards. It is this idea to get out more inspiring media. So you're helping support the future of the project by helping support the energy and the production required, and it's also helping give out more free shift buttons. So it's awesome stuff. So a big part with this paradigm shift community is, again, like I said, it's coming into your own sense of confidence, your own sense of being over time. And it's also learning about evoking the leadership within ourselves. So I think there's a great quote. It's the idea that a great leader doesn't create more followers, they create more leaders. So that's a very potent thing about this project that I'm really happy to have so many people involved with, because I know the people who are listening to the show, the people who are involved with this, are, even if hopefully by the end of the show it's gonna be more conscious for you. It's gonna be more in the front of your mind. But you guys are leaders alongside with me, captains among captains. I've helped do things where I am, and maybe it's inspired you, and now you can do things where you are, and then it's going to inspire someone else. And the inspiration is a contagious thing that continues to be passed on. So the leadership within a paradigm shift community is a big part of it, but it's also very simple, because being a leader within this community can simply mean taking the steps to organize the meetings. That is such a key part. If no one else does that, then it won't happen. So somebody needs to take up the leadership role to do that. So that is a key part, is finding that leadership spirit within yourself. And we're going to get a little bit more into the facilitating discussion and how the leadership role plays within the actual open-minded discussion circles and how those would sort of work out. So Again, let me just take a drink of water. Any questions in the live chat, just post them here and let me know. So we got about 30 minutes left in the show. You guys let me know 11:11 if you guys are getting stuff out of this, and if you guys are taking notes. I hope you guys are taking notes. I mean, not necessarily, you don't need to, but eventually I'm going to have like a better write-up and stuff in the future. But yeah, this will give you guys a good overview. So I think Angela actually just donated. She said she did. I haven't pulled up my email to double check, but thank you, Angela. I'm sure it went through. So we will be able to do the free button draw later in the episode. And again, send a message to facebook.com/ParadigmShiftRadio to get your opportunity to synchronistically get buttons sent to you. And then those will be able to help you start your community. So it's very cool. So one of the things that I just need to go back to is the idea of social media presence. Social media presence is a very, very valuable thing. Like I said, my motivation, part of my main idea behind doing this was the idea that I was creating media alongside the growth of this community so that I could share it with people online. So what you can do with your social media presence is you create your Paradigm Shift Facebook page or group. So I'll just hit upon that now. When I first started this project, Facebook only had pages. That was all they had, and pages actually were more like groups than what groups are now. And what I mean by that is on a page, people who weren't the admins could post, and it would still go to the front, and it would still be seen by everyone. Now, Facebook segregated into these pages and groups, and pages are a thing where only the admins can post on the main area, and all the other posts get sort of pushed off to the side. Groups are the groups where you'll be able to have multiple people post, and public posts will be like more obvious, and other people will be able to engage and get their voice heard. Ultimately, the online presence of the Paradigm Shift communities is equally as important to the physical, because that is a place where you can continue to engage people in questions. You can continue to plant seeds. So use your pages. So ultimately, I know it's kind of complicated, but I would recommend having a page and a group for each community. Though if you're new, you may just want to start off as a group. But the value of having a page is the idea that pages, you can specify the URL, the website. So for example, the page for my Paradigm Shift London community is simple. Facebook.com/Paradigm Shift London. It's simple, right? The link for my group for that same community is not something that I could tell someone. It's like facebook.com/group/14729. It's something weird. Like, it's not something that I can easily put on a pamphlet. The benefit behind having a page, and again, you can go to facebook.com and find the option where it says create a page and stuff. The benefit of creating a page is so that you can have a succinct URL that you can post onto your pamphlets and tell people about. So people will be able to find it with more ease, and then you use your page to post main videos that you want to be able to share with the community. So as the admin of these groups, of these pages, you're using them to, first of all, let people know about upcoming meetings. Use the pages and the groups to let people know that there's meetings coming out, and invite people through your pages and groups that you know, and more people who you don't know that will be able to find them. From there, also be able to use them to share inspirational videos, articles. There's so much stuff on the internet nowadays. And also being able to share the videos from the ParadigmCentral.com website. So, example, The Awakening Within the Matrix in 5 minutes. If you're a new group, share that. That will help people get an understanding that the community that you're creating isn't just this one-off thing. You can tell them, you can be like, yeah, like this is something where there's lots of other communities, and we're a part of a collective, and they do a radio show every week, and it's super awesome. You can get involved. So you can do that. You can post that. You can also post image memes, things that will be able to help get shared. The social media for Facebook, it's super weird though. It's super GIMP in the idea that if you have a page with 2,000 people and you post something, for a good while, maybe only 50 will see it, who it will get delivered to, which is Facebook kind of being GIMP. So don't depend on the Facebook pages to get the word out. That is important, but the physical connections, like the free hugs and that's actually more potent. If you can talk to someone face to face and invite them, there's a more likely possibility that they'll come out to the meeting than someone just seeing a post on Facebook sort of thing. But again, you use the Facebook page as a place for someone to go to who will be able to land on it. They'll be able to get information, will be able to say, oh, this is what this is about. This is about open-minded discussion meditation groups. This is cool. And this is when their next meeting is. And they'll be able to see that. And that is valuable. You're primarily using your Facebook your Facebook presence to promote and share when your next meeting is. So from there, another part about social media presence is for you to create your own media, for you to create things like personal video logs. This is a very valuable thing, and this will actually help develop your leadership role within your community. So those of you who know, I've been making videos for a long time, and there's a lot of different styles of videos that I've been doing. Some of them are more complex with the editing. Some of them are simply vlogs. Some of them are simply recordings with my webcam. If you have a webcam, it's very easy. You can actually even record through QuickTime Movies. If you have QuickTime Player, you can record your webcam through there, and then you can upload that to YouTube. And you can also host you can also host Google Hangouts, and you can do digital hangouts for your community through the online Facebook presence. So instead of just having physical communities, you can have the online hangouts, which is something multiple people throughout our community are doing throughout the week. People such as Andy, people such as Michael, they have the Merlin Mystery School. People such as Bonnie, she does her weekly guided meditations. These are some things that once you figure out how to host a Google Hangout, which again you do through your Gmail, and there's like a plus button, and I can't explain that all just right now, but if you can create a Google Hangout, then you can use this to record some of the interaction with your community. But again, in addition to that, I encourage you to create your own videos, to create your own YouTube channel, and to start practice sharing your voice. I know a lot of people are already doing this. Ariana from the newest Paradigm Shift with Kristen, she's putting up some new videos, and as well as Kristen too. Both of them are putting up new videos, and people who are seeing them in their community are like, wow, this is cool. Like these girls, they're actually putting something into this. Like this is something that I want to pay more attention to, and the fact that you see them talking makes it more personable. So rather than just being like, when people land on a page and they're just like, who's running this thing? Like where is this coming from? Make your presence known. Make yourself known to your community, and to be able to say like, hey, like I'm helping administrate this community, but I'm not trying to say that I'm above anyone else. I'm just trying to say let's all get together so that we can do awesome things together as a community. So again, I encourage you to create video logs. Just practice creating a video log. Think about the idea that video logs are there to practice preparing you for future videos. Think of it as all just practice, and practice expressing yourself, and you will be able to inspire more people through your simple videos. So, social media presence, very important thing. Reminder, have your Facebook pages and groups. Ideally, have a page that has a simple URL that you can share, such as Paradigm Shift, your location, and then use that. But if you're new, you may just want to start with a group, and eventually you'll want to have two, because the group can also have the live chat built in through the group if it's smaller than like 50 people. I know it's kind of weird complications, but we make the most of it. Ultimately, we make the most of it. Another thing that I'll just mention real quick, but I was going to mention at the end anyways, through the main website at paradigmcentral.com/startacommunity, you'll see links there, but there's also the link in there on the left for the admin sign up. So by the end of this episode, if you're thinking about doing this, you can find the form to sign up for that, and that will send me the information that you have available to say where you are, and also your Facebook page, and it'll just be able to help me know who's doing what. So if you're creating a Paradigm Shift community, please let me know so that we can add it to the directory so that more people can find out about it where you are. So. And another thing, just kind of backstepping a bit with this whole Paradigm Shift community project, reminder to like the Facebook page at facebook.com/paradigmshiftcentral too. This is the place where people will be able to share their videos, their media. So for example, if Kristen is sharing a video of her talking about something to her community, she can share it on her community page, but she can also share it through the Paradigm Shift Central Facebook page. So facebook.com/paradigmshiftcentral. Like that page, and know that anyone who's the admins can use that as a collective hub for all of us to be able to share our media. So we have a lot of people who are creating conscious media, and then that links through the main website. And if you post a video, your videos will actually end up on the main paradigmshiftcentral.com website. So again, example, you hand someone a button, you're not only giving them a button, you're giving them access to the radio show, to the thousands of videos, the community videos, the full-length movies, and the connection to this community, all in one single button. It's what the button is a portal to. Portals are a big aspect of what this is about. Portals are the idea of creating something that has like a gravitational field that pulls other things towards it. It's like this black hole, not black hole, but a black hole in the sense of like a spiral. So it brings stuff towards it. So the paradigm shift communities are portals. They're portals towards awakening consciousness in a very literal sense. So you yourself are a portal. When you're doing free hugs, think about the idea that you're creating this like energy matrix, this flux in the matrix that's drawing people towards you who will be able to engage in the free hugs. And again, like you don't have to worry about chasing people, because the people who want to get involved with this project are going to be the ones who are more likely than not open enough to give you a free hug. If a person is open enough to give you a free hug, then they're probably going to be open enough to find out more about this project. And other people who are just sort of like they're in their bubble at that time, that's totally cool. Let them be in their bubble, but let them see you at the same time, because them simply seeing you also helps shift the paradigm as well. So moving along here, got a few more things, and we got about 20 minutes left in the show, and then I'd like to I'd invite Kristen to call in. And Kristen, if you can send me a message, just let me know if you're calling in, and just remind me of what your phone number is, and then I'll be able to know for sure as I can see it in the queue. But moving along here, there's a couple things that I want to get across. So I think we had numbers at one point, and this is technically like under number 3. So number 1 was be inspired. Number 2 was taking action and getting started, which included the creation of a Facebook group, the planning of the meetings, the finding the locations, the admin toolkit, the shiftivism tactics, and the social media presence. Now we're on to step 3, which is the co-op system. So let me just double check. Anybody got any questions? Yeah, so I think Kristen is called in. So we'll bring her on as I just sort of move through this next part here. If anybody has any questions, just let me know. If I'm going too fast for you guys, let me know if you need me to reiterate. Let me know, 11:11, if what I'm saying makes sense. If what I've said up to this point is piecing itself together, is making sense for you guys. Because, again, it's simple. It doesn't have to be super complex. This whole thing with this paradigm shift project was me trying to figure out the tactics that could be replicated by anyone, that are simple, that are something that I can pass on to you guys. So 11:11 from you guys in the live chat. Thank you. That's good. This is me practicing sharing this knowledge. So it's for me to get that feedback as well. So from there, we're moving on to number 3, the co-op system. The co-op system is an abbreviation for just a couple words that sort of what you keep in mind back ahead when creating a paradigm shift community. And then from there, we're going to get into the hosting of meetings and the facilitating a dialogue. So this is very simple. We're just going to hit upon this real quick. Co-op, C-O-O-P. So the co-op system stands for C, communication, O, organization, the second O, optimization, and P, presentation. So just going across those real quick. So communication. These are the things that are all very important. Communication is what this community is about. This whole project is about creating communication. So think about the way that you are communicating yourself, whether that be through the free hugs, whether that be through your Facebook page, whether that be with the people who you're talking to, who you're letting them know. Just be mindful of the idea that you want to be aware of what and how you are communicating things. So from there, organization. Organization, this refers to the planning of meetings, the consistency of having routine within your paradigm shift community. So again, when people find out about a meeting, if they know that the next meeting is next Friday, then maybe they'll be able to come out to that one because they weren't able to make it out to the next one, and it will mean a heck of a lot for them. So keep that open door with your meetings. Organize them on a regular basis. Organization is super key, and it's very simple. So you want to organize things ahead of time and then eventually get into the habit where it becomes like self-sustaining. Like every week now with Paradigm Shift London, I don't have to tell people that there's a meeting on Friday. They already know, but I do still remind them, of course, for new people. So the meetings like set themselves up. So the organization becomes self-sustainable. So optimization is the next O. Optimization refers to making the most out of opportunities. So like I said, optimization of the free hug tactics would be doing free hugs with a pamphlet so that you can invite someone out to the meeting within that moment instead of potentially never seeing them again, but them still getting a free hug, which is awesome in itself. Optimization refers to just like, again, it refers to the Facebook stuff. Optimization refers to a lot of things, but it also refers to the self and just being able to check in with yourself to make sure that you are optimizing yourself. So a big part of this Paradigm Shift community is that in addition to all this, check in with yourself, check in with how you feel, make sure that you're finding balance within yourself, make sure that you're staying healthy, make sure that you are being the change that you want to see in the world. So, you know, if you're trying to become more conscious, like practice your vegetarian and your vegan diets and everything like that, and practice recycling and practice being love. And optimize yourself, and then that will make the most out of the opportunity. So optimization. P, presentation. Presentation goes hand in hand with communication, but it's just more specific to how we are presenting ourselves. So this more so sort of specifically refers to the Facebook pages and just like the visual looks of them. When you are starting your community page with the Facebook page, you can find the default image at paradigmshiftcentral.com/tools. Go there, save that image, and then you will be able to upload that as like the default profile picture for your Facebook group. It's kind of a default one, but you can use, I'm going to upload the toolkit to version 1.1b or something that will include that file as well. But if you go to paradigmshiftcentral.com/start a community, that will give you more information as well. So presentation is key, and also presentation goes in hand with the idea of the videos that you're making, the video logs. So how are you presenting yourself? So, and of course, presentation goes into the physical meetings as well. So that's the co-op system: communication, organization, optimization, and presentation. Of course, co-op stands for cooperation. So just keep those things in mind when you're doing all of this stuff. And it's just a little something extra, I think. So let me just check the I'm just reading over the live chat. You can tell I'm kind of losing my voice here, actually. So we're gonna keep going. Gonna keep pumping through this last part. So hosting a meeting, facilitating dialogue. This is very important. So this is a key thing. So up until this point, you're wanting to create a paradigm shift community. You've done that. You've created your Facebook page. You've found a location for your meetings. You've reached out to people who may be interested. You've told them what it's about, and then they show up, and you're all in the same room. What happens next? The idea with these circles, the way how we've done them within paradigm shift communities, if it is advertised as an open-minded discussion and meditation circle, that's super vague, but it creates a lot of opportunity. And of course, just going way back here, the meditation aspect of these group meetings is a very important part. When you promote the fact that there's meditation at the meetings, it will bring certain people out, because certain people will be like, oh, I've always been interested in meditation. Like, this would be a good way for me to get into it. Having the meditations at the meetings and promoting them expresses that these community groups are promoting mindfulness as well. So people who are familiar with mindfulness will be able to bring themselves in with that connection. So what will happen at these meetings? This is one way that it will happen. This is my techniques. These are my suggestions as to how you can make them work for you. You, as a leader, can help facilitate the meeting, and you will be the person to sort of keep an eye on who wants to talk next and help bounce things around, and be the person who will be willing to step in and say, okay, let's ask this question, or let's move the conversation this way. You have the opportunity to do that as the facilitator, as the admin. You've created the community. It is within your responsibility to facilitate the dialogue. One of the ways how you can facilitate the dialogue is through the palm technique. So obviously, if you're going in there and say, all right, let's get this conversation started, then you want to be able to help make sure that people are not talking over each other. So instead of people raising their hand and being like, I have a question, or I have a point, I want to say something, what we suggest, what has worked well for us, is the palm technique. So this means simply holding your hand out in front of you as if you're offering something. You're holding your palm up, and you can just casually sort of hold it off the side of your lap, if you're sitting down on the ground. It's very simple. And then through that, it will help people see that when other people have a point, they'll have their hand out, and then people will be able to help know that that's the person who wants to talk next. And as the facilitator, it's your job to keep an eye on who's putting their hand out and which order, and then to be able to help direct things. And another technique that you can use in addition to the palm technique is the ball technique. And the ball technique is when you have an object that you can pass around much like a talking stick. So this actually brings like a little bit of fun into it. For us, we use a hacky sack. So it's a hacky sack with a yin yang. It's kind of cool that we use it in our meetings. So when somebody's talking, they have the hacky sack, and then when they're done talking, they'll look around to who has their palm out, and then they'll toss the hacky sack, they'll toss the ball to that person, and then that person will hold on to it until they are done talking. So the rule is that the person with the hacky sack, the person with the talking ball, is the person who we are paying attention to, the person who we are listening to. So these are simple techniques that will help generate discussion. In terms of the routine of the meetings, what you want to do, you want to be able to provide a general introduction. So when people first show up, in addition to explaining the techniques that I just explained, hold on, I just got to read something in the chat. Somebody's asking a question. Angela's asking a question. Question: may I have some of these shows from today? Yes, Angela, we will get back to you. May I have some? For sure. Okay, so Angela was just asking a question, but I'm going to get back to her about that afterwards. So, with the introduction of with these meetings, you want to have a general introduction. If people who are coming in, it's their first time. Okay, actually, let me just back up a little bit. With the paradigm shift communities, like I said, the main thing is patience and consistency. If you organize a meeting and you find out that you put in all this effort and only like 2 people show up to your meeting, don't take that as a bad sign. That's okay. That's cool. If no one shows up, then you might need to change your tactics a little bit. But if just a couple people show up, then continue with that process, because 2 people might become 5 people. Then next week it will become 7 people. And then next week it will become 8 people and 10 people. And at our Paradigm Shift community meetings, at certain times, we will have meetings with over 25 people, with over 30 people. We've had very large meetings, which is where the facilitation comes into play, because it becomes very important, and that's where your role as a leader is very important. But I'm just reiterating that idea with the idea of continue to move forward, even when you feel like, oh man, like no one showed up this week. Don't let that stop you. Continue to move forward. The important thing is to have the consistency. That is the most important thing. Don't just try it and then quit. Just keep going, create that opportunity, create that portal, keep that portal open, and people will find it. I promise you. So when you're creating these meetings, you want to have a general introduction. So a general introduction, you can say to people and be like, well, the purpose of these meetings is to practice having conversation about things that we don't normally get a chance to talk about. And you can put forth examples of topics. You could say, some topics that we can discuss are things like energy healing, things like sound vibration, things like dream exploration, things like mindfulness, topics like reincarnation. Even things more on the fringe, you can today talk about like UFOs, you can talk about Sasquatch, you can talk about things like sacred geometry, you can talk about things like fractals. These are some of the things that you could tell people would be potential topics that we could talk about there. And of course, you would sort of want to be able to like come with some information that you would be ready to share and be like, oh, well, I was reading a book last week and this is what I want to share. So with an introduction, you just give people a brief overview of potential topics that could be covered. And then you let them know that this is open discussion and you can move things around. Now, before things officially get going, a good idea is to do personal introductions. So if you have a group of people, you ask them, you go in a circle, and then you say, like, just say a little bit about yourself, say your name, and either like why you're here, what you're interested, and what you hope to gain. So simple questions, really. So, a person might be here and just say, like, why are you here? And be like, oh, well, I'm just looking to connect with more like-minded people. And then they might expand on that and be like, well, I'm really interested in Hermetic philosophy. I'm really interested in music. I'm really interested in art. And then you start to get an idea of who that person is. And then you can ask them what they hope to gain. And the obvious question might be, just a broader understanding of awareness of reality, et cetera, . So from there, as people introduce themselves, then you'll actually have an idea of potential topics to branch off from. So the practice of these groups is to actually free flow the conversation, to let the conversation go kind of naturally, sort of organically. So someone might say, like, oh, well, I'm really interested in sacred geometry. Could you talk to me? Could you tell me more about that? And then a person would be like, well, yeah, like here's how it works. Sacred geometry is the fundamental blueprint throughout proportions of all of reality that are consistent to create the beautiful forms which are in our physical reality, such as the Fibonacci sequence, and like infinity is like reflected through sacred geometry, and as above, so below. And I mean, I'm not trying to explain it to you right now. I'm just saying, you can sort of go off in that direction. And through there, the conversation will naturally evolve. And then again, as a facilitator, as a leader, your job is to keep an eye on things and just to be able to pass the conversation along. So those are some things that will happen in the meeting. And some suggested topics are topics such as lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming is an excellent topic to get people interested in, because everybody dreams. So that's a very, very relevant topic that I would recommend encouraging within some of your early meetings if you haven't if you're looking for things to talk about. Other particular topics to get into, some good examples would be things like energy work, would be things like mindfulness, things like Reiki, and asking people what they think about reincarnation. Putting forth a question to the group is a very good way to generate conversation. You can ask them, like, what are your thoughts on life and death? Like, what are your thoughts on death? What are your, you can expand the conversation wherever you sort of need to. So lots of opportunity in that sense. So with that said, that kind of brings me to my almost the bottom of my notes in my list. Some additional concepts that I just want to reiterate were the idea of understanding synchronicity and maintaining community and maintaining consistency, things that I've already mentioned. So if anybody has any questions, let me know in the live chat now. And I'm going to bring on Kristen, and Kristen's just going to talk a little bit about her experience with starting up a Paradigm Shift community, and she's going to share a little bit about her excitement, and hopefully that will continue to inspire you guys. So again, we're going to do the button draw. As Kristen's talking, I'm going to sort some things out, and we're going to do the button draw before the end of the episode. We only got about 6 minutes left, and again, 11:11. If that made sense for you guys, and if you guys are now feel that you have the tools to help create a Paradigm Shift community, and again, the next step would also be to listen to this show and go to paradigmshiftcentral.com/start a community, and through there you'll find all the other extra information to sort of bring things together, and you'll find the admin sign up form, and you'll find the link for the admin toolkit. So all very valuable things. So getting to the 11:11s, thank you guys, and like I said, this is all a part of the team. So you guys are building community where you are, and together this is about changing the world. This is about changing our habits. This is about rebirthing from within. This is very powerful stuff. This is about building community, building the tribe, building unity, and then taking that out. So imagine what happens when you build your community even more. So once you have about 10, 15 people, and then those people are people who are going to be joining you and doing free hugs downtown, and then you're waking up even more people, and then you're inspiring even more people. So you can start to think, where can I take this community? Where can this social experiment go? And again, I encourage you to get creative with it. Keep it simple, but be creative. So with that said, if there's any questions, please let me know, and I'm going to bring on Kristen, and we're going to use the next 5 minutes just to hear from her, and and then we'll be wrapping up the show, and then I think we'll be doing an after party hangout, which you can find the link for that at facebook.com/paradigmshiftradio. So Kristen, we're going to bring you onto the show, and we'll go from there. So Kristen, if you're ready, our newest Paradigm Shift admin from Paradigm Shift, somewhere in California. It's like Vacaville, or it's like, I just forget what it's called, but okay, Kristen, we're bringing you on. Here we go.
Hello,
Kristen. Hey, welcome to Paradigm Shift Radio. Where do you live again? Paradigm Shift which?
I live in Vacaville, California.
Vacaville. Okay, yeah, I guess I did have it right. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. California is obviously like a super prime area for building a Paradigm Shift community, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, please, Kristen, we only got a couple minutes. What can you share with the audience that will maybe just like help inspire them further, or just tell me a little bit about what your experience has been in creating a Paradigm Shift community just over the last month, really.
Well, I really got inspired by you. I mean, you were awesome, and listening to your show just made me want to step up and to really do something, because I am really passionate about, bringing peace and love to the world and to everybody. And, I asked Ariana if she would be interested in doing free hugs with me and starting up the community with me. And she said yes, and I was so excited that, we made free hug signs. We went out there, and I didn't make the community yet, but it was just me and her, and we went to the park, and we were so excited. We were talking about our experiences, and we meditated, and it was awesome. And then one of her friends joined us, and recently this past weekend she did free hugs. I wasn't able to make it. And she, went into the park and had her meditation session, and she met some wonderful people, which is awesome. And I'm so grateful for I found you on Paradigm Shift Central and stuff, because I think that it's so wonderful what you are doing. And it really does get people inspired, and it really got me inspired, because I was always that type of person that wants to do something but didn't really know how to do it. And now that I've seen what you do, I'm just like, yes. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start this, and I'm gonna do it because I feel that it's right. So I just can't wait to see like where it takes me, where the people I meet, and just so much joy and happiness for me, and I get so excited about it when I think about it.
For sure. Well, that's great. And again, like, your inspiration inspires me even further to see you guys getting excited about this. So we only got a couple minutes left. One of the things that I just wanted to hit upon that I think is absolutely so awesome about this Paradigm Shift stuff is the idea that a lot of the admins are females. Like, that is such a cool thing for me, because I think it ties in with like this natural sort of like feminine energy of nurturing and wanting to help build community and being the ones to help bring up the next generation. So it's almost like a natural step. So So I mean, yeah, like that's super cool. And sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but another key thing that I forgot to mention, just within the last points that I was talking about facilitating conversations and facilitating the meetings, a big part about that, like I said, it's open-minded discussion and meditation. So somewhere within your meetings, you want to be able to have that meditation in there. Practicing meditation as a group is a very powerful thing. And if you have a singing bowl, that will help make things easier, and it'll give you a chance to practice leading a guided meditation. Maybe you've never done one before. Having the community group will give you an opportunity for you to do it or for you to invite other people. And again, the meditation is, again, about reinforcing mindfulness, and it's about embodying whatever it is that meeting was about, and then continuing to ripple that out further. But yeah, so I think we only got about 2.5 minutes left in the show, but I think I covered a lot. We only got 90 seconds. Let me just tell, so for the button draw, the winner, because I pulled it as you were talking, the winner for this week's button draw is Rachel Miller. So congratulations to Rachel Miller. I'm going to send her some buttons, and I'm not exactly sure where she is, but hopefully those buttons will help her create a paradigm shift community where she is, and I know you guys will be able to create more paradigm shift communities where you are. So thank you so much, everyone who's been a part of this. And again, just passing it over to Kristen, who's with Paradigm Shift Vacaville. If you're in California, run a search just in Facebook, Paradigm Shift Vacaville, and you'll be able to find it, and she'll post her link for her profile in the live chat, and you can find it there. But Kristen, was there anything else that you just wanted to say real quick within the last few seconds that we got?
I just want to say thank you. You're awesome, and I can't wait to go on this journey. So yeah. That's
awesome. Absolutely, it is. It's a journey. Like I said, like doing this will turn your life into like a crazy like novel adventure, fantasy adventure, and it's so fun. It's so fun, and I'm excited for other people to experience this. It's changed my life in beautiful, radical ways. I've helped change other people, and you will help change people too. And it will just continue to, again, if you feel that calling, is that what you're here to do? If you've been researching all this knowledge, if you want to help change the world, this is how you can do it, by connecting with other people. So I think we're about to go off the air. Everyone check out the After Party Hangout, facebook.com/Paradigm Shift Radio. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Donate if you can. Support the future of the radio. Download all the stuff you need. Get the shift buttons through the main website. And Kristen, I'm going to play the outro music here so you can join me in saying farewell to the internet. So bye, internet.
All right. Well, bye. Everyone. Peace and love.
Go do awesome things and give out free hugs like Kristen and all the other awesome people out there. Yay!
Yay!
All right. Thanks, Kristen.
Bye. You're welcome.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Paradigm Shift Radio. If you would like to connect with people where you are and continue the conversations further, then check out ParadigmShiftCentral.com/buttons to order your supply of shift buttons to share with people to help invite them to this global project while also helping make new friends and building local community where you are. Shift buttons are tools to hack the matrix and tap into the synchronistic nature of reality to accelerate our collective awakening. Enter the promo code PSR into your order to receive additional bonus buttons to your supply. Thank you again, and one love.